I was born in Rockdale County. My mother was born here in the year 1900. So naturally, then when I came along, many years ago, this is the only church I've ever known. I was raised in it, and I have a lot of memories that my mother had told me that took place from 1900. Of course, the church was erected in 1847, and she's got had many stories to tell about that. So, but as far as me, coming up as a young person, we looked forward to coming to church. That was our entertainment, was coming to church on Sunday and again on Wednesday, because we didn't have the activities that go on now with young people. I enjoyed playing ball. I played basketball. I was on the high school basketball team. I was a majorette, and in the band played the snare drums. Another girl did, because what happened is the school board decided that to be a majorette, you had to play an instrument too. And she and I, neither one were interested in playing a trombone or clarinet or anything. So he put us on the snare drums. So when we wasn't marching during football season or other activities, you know, we would play the snare drums. And I loved it. I was good. I was good. I enjoyed it. So that was fun. I've got a lot of grounding in learning how to speak from church, from our training union activities, and even we brought our dates to church because there wasn't anything else to do hardly but to go to the movies. So things have changed now. Not that things are all bad at this particular time, but the church was our hub for activities. I enjoy writing. I kind of honed my skills in writing some while I was in high school. You know, nothing professional, but just for fun. I love to write poetry. So then I took typing and shorthand. I knew I would not be going to college. And so therefore, I tried to hone my skills in that and ended up being a secretary with, at that time, Southern Bell. And then advanced on within the company to come into first line management with it. But I contribute a lot of my training from being encouraged by church members, our older church members at that time. I really did. We had a couple of drive-ins, and then we had the movie in Old Town Conyers that we went to, and occasionally bowling, you know, but we didn't have a bowling alley here in Conyers. We had to go to the Decatur area. The Moonlit Drive-In, and I believe it was called Starlit. Anyway, that was most of the activity that you could do. The school sponsored dance hops, you know, at the American Legion building. And so those were activities too. And going to ball games. If I wasn't participating, you know, we'd still go to football games. And I graduated in 1956. And we were the last the last grade to graduate under the name Conyers High School. The very next year it became Rockdale County High School. We had 56 to graduate in the year 56. But we engaged, you know, we had our plays, our senior plays and other activities plays during that time. And in fact, I wrote a play for when I was in the 9th grade, I think, that we performed for the whole student body. And because we were encouraged to come up with our own activities, you know, in entertainment. Back in 1958 is when the first pavement came in front of the church. We were on a dirt road, very rutty, very bumpy. I married in 1959, and I gave a sigh of relief that road was paved before, because I worked in Atlanta and I had co-workers and friends from the Atlanta area that were coming to my wedding, and I did not want them to come on a country bumpy road because they already teased me about being so southern from the south, and that type thing. But before those times, let me tell you about, as a young girl, our church generally had some of the men in the church to be what we'd call, I guess, custodians at this time, to go and unlock the church, close it up, take care of its cleaning needs and so forth. So there were a few years there, I guess I was around 10 years old, that my dad took on the chore of seeing about the church. So he assigned that position to myself and my brother, who was 3.5 years older than me. So we would have to come down to the church and sweep just with brooms and dust, and see that the books, there were enough songbooks on each pew, pick up any trash if there happened to be any, and prepare for service on Sunday. And in the summertime, to put fans out that came from the local funeral home, no air conditioning. And then my dad would come down early on Sunday mornings and begin heating up the church, so it would have a little bit of a comfort with heat before the congregation arrived. And also during that time, we had dirt yards in the church, and people just parked any which way. There was no marked off parking. And we had one gentleman there was a rock that went up toward the window. Of course, the windows would be opened in the summertime. He'd pull his car as close as he could to the church window, but he would get out and come in. But that was like his reserved parking place. But anyway, we swept with brush brooms, made from usually dogwood trees. They had the most little limbs and leaves on them and all. And it was fun. My brother and I liked to see if we could make a design, sweep it all in one way and then go back the other way to make a design. Of course, as soon as people started getting to church, it was trampled on, and that was it. But I, like so many, I also, like I said, I married in 1959, and I prepared the fellowship, well, we called it the community building, strung ivy around and fixed the tables and everything to prepare for the reception, and then had to go home and get ready for the wedding. But anyway, that worked out real good. But one of the things I was so proud that I was able to do is be baptized in the old pool that was outside across the church, across the road. There was a spring there, and of course we only had baptizings once a year because it was so cold. And generally most people, I guess, that presented themselves for baptism did so in the summertime when we had our summer revival. And then of course it made sense to have the baptism following the revival time. But it was cold. I remember I was almost 10 at the time that I accepted Christ and was baptized. And when you come up out of the water, and I've witnessed this with other people, somebody's standing there with a raincoat or big towels to cover you up, and then you walk all the way back to the church, and then you go home. There was no changing clothes or anything. You went home wet if you didn't dry out before you went home. But anyway, those are good memories to know that you were baptized outdoors in an old-fashioned pool. And another thing that I think helped us as young people to learn responsibility of thinking of others is on Mother's Day, we would have at the altar roses that came just from the wild roses that grew around the roads. The men of the church would go out early Sunday morning and bring them in. So Mother's Day was a big deal. Every child was given the opportunity to go down and get a rose and take it back to their mother. Then our mothers pushed us to go get a rose and take it to a lady that was perhaps married and did not have children. So you learned a lot from that. And hopefully those things were embedded in us as young children to continue to have the same principles as we were raising our children. So we just learned a lot from observing our elders within the church. And then another thing, we used to have, and we still do now, but at that time it was kind of unusual. Santa Claus came at Christmas time. We had a Christmas party. Santa Claus came at Christmas time. Everybody in the church drew names. So everybody got a gift. Not much. Handkerchiefs usually for the ladies, or comb and brush, socks maybe for the men. But it was a fun time anticipating the big Christmas party. And when we had Bible school, it was always the fear of kids. We did not want to go to the outhouse that was way back in the woods. The men again would prepare it and clear out the path, because it was way back in the woods. Clear the path out to go to it. And of course that was the same of being there on Sunday or any other time too. But it was just a great time to grow up, I guess, as a lot of people would call it in the olden days now. But it was impactful, you know, it gave us good training. Having better communication with telephones. When I grew up, we didn't have a telephone for a long time. And then we had a party line. 8 were on the line. And then it finally, you heard 4 people's telephones ring. And there was a lot of listening in, because you could pick up the phone to use the phone and somebody else would be talking. And so you had to be very careful, especially when we were, I guess the older people didn't have a problem, our parents, but us young people that were beginning to date, you know, you had to be careful what you said, because it gets spread at school pretty fast. So so those kind of things, I guess, and as far as, you know, as I said earlier, our church just always seemed to reach out. Yes, there was a core of people that were here at the church from its beginning. The Grenades, and my great, I guess, grandparents and family, you know, established it through Timothy Grenade, and it just multiplied. My mother was a Grenade, and so, and then there were other core families within the church too, but never did they give the feeling that someone else wasn't welcome. And I think that's commendable. I'm very proud of the fact that the county chose to get its name from our church, which it is full of granite. And that's the reason it was named, you know, the slate throughout the county, named Rockdale. So I think that was very appropriate. Our church was instrumental in producing young people, and older adults too, to take on responsibilities within the county. I've always been proud of my county, and we have many people represented in our county that lived here a long time, and they have areas of responsibility that we can be proud of. So I'm thankful I still live here. I want to say congratulations to Rockdale County for its 150 years. That's quite an achievement for a county to stay solid during that many years. Thank you very much.